What if the worlds of myth weren't just fantasy, but hidden truths wrapped in story? In Myth Worlds Explained, Secrets of Realms You Were Never Taught, we dive deep into ancient beliefs about realms beyond our own. From the heights of Mount Olympus to the depths of the underworld, cultures across time imagine powerful, mysterious dimensions, each with its own gods, laws, and purpose. But what if these weren't just stories? Join us as we uncover the secret meanings behind mythical realms and discover the ancient knowledge they've been hiding all along. This journey will change how you see reality itself. Mythological worlds are often dismissed as the imaginative byproducts of ancient cultures, fantasies created to explain nature, death, or the unknown. But what if these realms weren't just made up? What if they held deep symbolic truths, spiritual insights, or even hidden history encoded in allegory? From Mount Olympus to the Norse Yggdrasil, from the Egyptian Duat to the lost city of Atlantis, ancient peoples described layered realities, spiritual realms, cosmic structures, and divine territories, each with specific functions, guardians, and moral lessons. These weren't simply fantasy settings, but reflections of how our ancestors saw the structure of the universe and humanity's place within it. In this exploration, we will uncover 7 of the most fascinating mythological worlds and decode the symbolic secrets and spiritual truths they contain. These are the myth worlds they never taught you about, but should have. 1. Mount Olympus, the divine summit of the Greeks. Mount Olympus, the seat of the Greek gods, is often portrayed as a literal mountain in Greece. But in mythology, it's far more than geography. It's a spiritual realm of order, power, and divine rule. It represents the upper world, the heavens, in the ancient Greek worldview. Symbolism: Olympus is the place where divine law rules. The gods dwell in harmony sometimes, ruling over the mortal world. The mountain is also symbolic of ascension, reaching spiritual enlightenment or higher consciousness. Secret lesson: Olympus reveals the human desire to connect with the divine, showing that enlightenment lies not just in obedience, but in understanding universal law and balance. 2. Yggdrasil, the Norse tree of worlds. In Norse mythology, Yggdrasil is the world tree, an enormous ash tree that connects the 9 realms. These realms include Asgard, realm of the gods; Midgard, earth or the human world; Helheim, realm of the dead, and more. Each realm is a dimension of existence, interconnected and constantly influencing one another. Symbolism: Yggdrasil represents the cosmic order. It shows that all things are connected: life, death, fate, gods, and mortals. Secret lesson: Life exists on multiple levels at once: physical, spiritual, mental. And these levels interact constantly. To understand the full picture, one must look beyond the material world. 3. Duat, the Egyptian underworld. The Duat is the ancient Egyptian underworld, not simply a place of punishment, but a realm of transformation, judgment, and rebirth. Here, the soul journeys through trials, passing through gates, encountering gods, and facing the weighing of the heart by Ma'at. Symbolism: The Duat is both a literal afterlife and a spiritual metaphor for the challenges we face on the path to enlightenment. Secret lesson: Death is not the end, but a passage. True transformation involves facing your shadow, being judged by divine truth, and being reborn into a higher form of self. 4. Atlantis, the lost world of knowledge. Plato described Atlantis as a powerful and advanced civilization that was destroyed for its pride and corruption. Many see Atlantis as mere fiction, but others believe it's an allegory for a forgotten epoch, a time when human beings lived in harmony with divine knowledge before falling into materialism. Symbolism: Atlantis represents lost wisdom, spiritual decline, and the dangers of forgetting divine order. Secret lesson: human civilizations rise and fall not by technology alone, but by the morality and spiritual balance they maintain. Atlantis warns of what happens when knowledge is used without wisdom. 5. The Hebrew Sheol and Gehenna, realms of the dead. In ancient Jewish thought, Sheol was a shadowy place where all the dead went, a realm of silence and forgetfulness. Later, Gehenna became a symbol of fiery judgment, often linked with punishment for the wicked. Symbolism: these realms reflect a growing theological understanding of divine justice, memory, and the importance of righteousness. Secret lesson: these are not just about the afterlife. They remind us that how we live now echoes in the unseen realms. There are consequences for choices that violate divine moral law. 6. The Hindu Lokas, multilevel universes. In Hindu cosmology, the universe is made of multiple lokas, worlds or planes of existence, such as Svarga Loka, heavenly realm; Bhu Loka, earth; Patala Loka, netherworld or underworld. Each loka is home to different beings, gods, humans, demons, and reflects a different spiritual frequency or consciousness level. Symbolism: the lokas illustrate that existence is layered, and that consciousness can rise or fall depending on karma and spiritual practice. Secret lesson: the material world is just one layer. Spiritual growth means ascending through these realms, not physically, but in awareness and purity. 7. The Mayan Xibalba, the fearsome underworld. The ancient Maya believed in Xibalba, a terrifying underworld ruled by death gods. Souls would pass through various trials in Xibalba before reaching the afterlife. Symbolism: Xibalba is not just about fear. It represents the inner journey through suffering, failure, and spiritual darkness. Secret lesson: before one can reach light, one must pass through darkness. Trials purify the soul, and endurance reveals spiritual strength. Xibalba is the crucible that refines character. Cross-cultural parallels. One truth, many myths? When we compare these mythological worlds across cultures, we find recurring patterns. A cosmic order. Whether through Yggdrasil or the Hindu lokas, the universe is seen as structured and interconnected. A divine realm. Mount Olympus, Asgard, and Svargaloka all point to a plane of higher beings or consciousness. An underworld or realm of the dead, Duat, Sheol, Xibalba. All are stages of transformation or judgment. Portals or trials. Movement between realms often involves gates, tests, or divine guidance. A moral framework. The condition of the soul or civilization affects which realm it ends up in or how it is treated. These similarities suggest that myths may be based on shared spiritual insights, not merely cultural imagination. Hidden truths in the structure of the cosmos. Ancient myths weren't just meant to entertain. They were blueprints of spiritual reality. They provided a moral compass, a vision of the afterlife, and a cosmic map of human existence. These realms reflect universal human experiences. The desire to ascend Mount Olympus, Svarga. The fear of death and the unknown, Sheol, Xibalba. The hope of redemption and rebirth, Duat, Gehenna. The warning against hubris and imbalance, Atlantis. In many ways, these myth worlds act as mirrors to our inner world. They symbolize the levels of consciousness, emotional states, or spiritual journeys that we all undertake, whether or not we recognize it. Why they never taught you this. Modern education often dismisses mythology as fiction or primitive belief. But in doing so, it robs these stories of their symbolic power and ancient wisdom. Why? Materialism dominates. Today's worldview often ignores the spiritual dimensions of reality. Colonial influence. Many indigenous or ancient systems were discredited or destroyed. Religious dogma. Some faiths dismissed mythologies outside their canon as pagan. Loss of sacred symbolism. We've lost the language of metaphor, seeing stories only as literal or false. Yet these myth worlds continue to speak to those willing to look deeper. Your journey into the realms begins. The mythological worlds we explored aren't just ancient tales. They are codes, warnings, and invitations. They invite us to explore beyond the material, to embrace the unseen, and to recognize that our journey mirrors that of the soul in these stories. Each realm, from the celestial heights to the shadowy underworld, teaches us something vital about who we are, about what lies beyond, and about how to live wisely in the present. So the next time you hear a myth, ask yourself, what truth is this trying to tell me? Because hidden in those realms is a map, not just to the gods, but to your own soul. A mountain above all others. In the heart of ancient Greek mythology stands Mount Olympus, a place more legendary than any palace or temple ever built by human hands. Rising high above the mortal world, this sacred mountain was not just a geographical location. It was the celestial seat of the gods, the divine summit where immortals ruled, quarreled, and shaped the fate of humanity. But Mount Olympus is more than just mythic landscape. Beneath the thunderbolts of Zeus and the jealousies of Hera lies a deeper truth. Olympus is a symbolic space, representing a spiritual ideal, a cosmic hierarchy, and even the inner mountain we must all climb to reach divine wisdom. In this article, we'll explore Mount Olympus in 1,800 words of detailed explanation, revealing its origins, symbolism, role in ancient Greek culture, spiritual meaning, and why this ancient concept still speaks to us today. Part 1. Olympus in Greek mythology, the mythic residence of the gods. Mount Olympus was believed to be the home of the 12 Olympian gods, the central deities of Greek mythology. These included Zeus, king of the gods, god of sky and thunder; Hera, queen of the gods, goddess of marriage; Poseidon, god of the sea; Demeter, goddess of agriculture; Athena, goddess of wisdom and war; Apollo, god of music, light, and prophecy; Artemis, goddess of the hunt and moon; Ares, god of war; Aphrodite, goddess of love and beauty; Hephaestus, god of fire and craftsmanship; Hermes, messenger god, god of travel and commerce; Hestia or Dionysus, depending on the myth, either the goddess of hearth and home or the god of wine and ecstasy. These gods formed a divine council led by Zeus, and their home on Mount Olympus was imagined as a place of peace, majesty, and divine order, though often disrupted by the gods' very human-like conflicts. Part 2. A real mountain or something more. Mount Olympus is an actual mountain in northern Greece, the tallest in the country at 2,917 meters, 9,570 feet. It's an awe-inspiring place, often wreathed in clouds and storms, which may have inspired its mythical status. But to the ancient Greeks, Olympus was not just a physical location. Mythical Olympus was above the clouds, untouched by wind, rain, or snow. It was described as a paradisiacal realm of perfect weather, eternal sunshine, and divine luxury, a heavenly fortress where mortals could not tread. This Olympus was believed to exist above the physical world, invisible to the human eye, serve as a meeting place of gods, much like a divine court, represent the orderly balance of the cosmos, with each god ruling a specific domain. So while the real mountain was revered, the mythical Olympus was symbolic, a spiritual summit beyond human reach. Part 3. Symbolism of Mount Olympus. 1. Divine authority and cosmic order. Olympus represented divine authority, not chaos. While the gods often quarreled, the mountain itself stood as a center of balance. Each god had a throne, a domain, and a role in maintaining harmony between divine forces and mortal lives. Zeus's throne symbolized the rule of law and the power to judge. Athena's presence represented the wisdom behind strategy and fairness. Apollo's music and prophecy brought beauty and insight. Together, these elements suggest that Olympus was a blueprint for ideal rulership, not by force alone, but through a council of divine attributes. 2. Spiritual ascension. Climbing Mount Olympus was symbolic of spiritual ascent. Just as mountains in many religions represent closeness to the divine, like Mount Sinai or Mount Meru, Olympus represented the journey from human limitation to divine wisdom. In this light, the gods are not just supernatural beings, they are aspects of the higher self. To ascend to Olympus meant to master these divine aspects within us. Wisdom, Athena; justice, Zeus; creativity, Apollo; passion, Aphrodite, and so on. 3. Separation of realms. Mount Olympus marks the boundary between mortal and immortal, between the known and the mysterious. It reminds us that there are realms we cannot see, powers beyond the material, and forces that govern existence unseen. Part 4. Olympus and the Human World. Though the gods lived on Olympus, they were deeply involved in human affairs. Myths are full of examples where Zeus intervenes in wars and births heroes. Hera schemes against mortals she sees as threats. Athena guides Odysseus through wisdom and stealth. Apollo inspires prophecy at Delphi, a direct link to Olympus. This interaction reveals a key Greek idea. The divine and human are not separate. Instead, Olympus is a mirror of the human world, showing both our potential and our flaws in divine form. In fact, the gods themselves were often deeply flawed. Zeus was wise but unfaithful. Hera was protective but vengeful. Ares was powerful but reckless. These traits made the gods relatable, but also served as moral lessons. Olympus wasn't a place of perfect beings. It was a stage where power, pride, and wisdom played out in ways humans could learn from. Part 5. Rituals and worship connected to Olympus. The Greeks didn't just believe in Olympus. They honored it through rituals, temples, and games. The Olympic Games, founded in 776 BCE, were held to honor Zeus, with athletes competing for divine glory. Temples to the Olympians were built across the Greek world, especially Zeus's massive temple at Olympia. Oracles and priests often claimed communication with Olympus, especially through dreams, prophecies, and sacrifices. To the Greeks, Olympus was real in a spiritual sense. They believed the gods could influence their lives, and that honoring them ensured harmony between heaven and earth. Part 6. Olympus in Art and Literature. The image of Mount Olympus became central to Greek literature and philosophy. Homer's Iliad and Odyssey frequently mention Olympus, as the gods watch and manipulate events. Hesiod's Theogony outlines the origins of the gods and their home on Olympus. Pindar's Odes praised Olympic victors as being favored by the gods, linking athletic success to divine blessing. In art, Olympus was depicted as a heavenly palace, with golden thrones, shining halls, and the gods in eternal splendor. These images shaped not just Greek art, but later Roman, Renaissance, and even modern visions of the divine. Part 7. The Decline of Olympus, from Sacred to Symbolic. With the rise of Christianity in the Roman Empire, belief in the Olympian gods faded. Olympus was increasingly seen as mythological fiction, not sacred reality. Yet its symbolic power remained. Writers, artists, and thinkers continued to draw on Olympus as a metaphor for ideal rule, e.g., political utopias, a symbol of the heights of human potential, a stage for moral allegory, as in later interpretations of myth. In the modern world, Mount Olympus exists more in literature, film, and psychology than in temples or prayers. But that doesn't mean it has lost its meaning. Part 8. Olympus Today, a Spiritual Perspective. In modern thought, especially in psychology and esoteric philosophy, Olympus is seen less as a place and more as a state of consciousness. In Jungian psychology, the gods are archetypes, universal aspects of the human psyche. Olympus, then, is the integration of all these parts into a balanced self. In spiritual traditions, climbing the inner mountain is about enlightenment, self-realization, and mastery of one's desires and mind. In literature and fantasy, Olympus represents the ultimate place of power, beauty, and moral conflict, a way to explore what it means to be truly divine. Olympus may no longer be worshipped, but its truths are still alive in how we imagine the divine, how we structure power, and how we pursue meaning. What Olympus still teaches us. Mount Olympus, for all its thunderbolts and divine drama, was always more than a mountain. It was a mirror of the heavens, showing us what ideal divine order could look like. A reflection of ourselves, with God's bearing our strengths, weaknesses, and desires. A path to transcendence, suggesting that within every human being is the potential to rise, to reach the summit of spiritual wisdom. In a world of chaos, Olympus stands as a timeless reminder that order, beauty, and power are not distant. They are waiting at the mountaintop within. So the next time you hear of Zeus or Athena, remember, Olympus wasn't just where they lived. It's where we're all called to rise. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the hidden worlds of myth and legend. From forgotten realms to the divine homes of gods, these ancient stories hold more truth than we've been led to believe. If this video opened your eyes to new possibilities, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with fellow truth seekers. Drop a comment below. What mythic world fascinated you the most? And remember, this is just the beginning. More ancient secrets and untold realms are waiting to be uncovered. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and never stop seeking the deeper truths.